Could we get a video of you shaving the apples to make the apple?
I do it every year for Christmas Eve. We'll do a little pie video
I
this year.
want to make sure there's a video of that. I mean, we get a lot of silly videos of you. I think the one of you cutting the apples for the pie
right
is.
away.
I think that would be. I think we could show that. I think we could show it as like a holiday, holiday.
Slip the jab. You got to slip the jab.
No, I think it would be great. A holiday, Anthony preparing for the holidays.
See that, by the way? See how quick the quickness is coming back?
I know. You're
like Ali.
The modern day Jake LaMotta.
King of NY, baby.
Not so Raging Bull. Anyway, head over to Naira Bets if you're not a member of Naira Bets. No better time than the present.
Jake Paul.
I was watching that the other day. It's such a great movie. $200 deposit match, sign-up bonus. There it is. It's all there. You match for $200 initial deposit. Play through Naira Bets. Keep the money in the game. Keep saying it. It's always true. 50-50-50 bonus. Aqueduct, Churchill, and Del Mar. And you get a $20 bonus. Today, big card at Churchill. I'll be here until around 1 in the morning covering the Churchill races today. I just think they're going to run continuously throughout Thanksgiving week. It's just like 400 races until this week. Got to opt in for that. And finally, speaking of which, America's Day at the races, till 6. I thought it was till 6:30. I think it's till 6:30, but maybe, oh no, FS2 is 11:30 to 6. I think it's 6 to 6:30 somewhere else. I have no idea.
To be determined.
No, it's been determined. I just don't know exactly where it is.
Okay.
Anyway, ready to roll?
Yeah.
Race number 1. Race number 1, there is a horse that ran that, with a clean trip, outside post or not, is going to be very tough to beat, and that's Aruba. We'll take a look at the start, pan and head-on of the start, and then the finish by Aruba in a race where we saw the second and third horses come back and run 2-1. He just gets eliminated at the start, and that sort of helped North Dakota, North Carolina, who came back and ran very well, finds himself all the way in the back of the pack, and you can see it was really a big crowding because they basically, the horse inside, I think, of the eventual winner shied out and caused that horse to shy out and really sort of crunched into everybody and took this horse out of the race and ran remarkably well. I mean, you look at the race, Bison Consent was stalking North Carolina the whole way. The third place finisher came back to win, was sitting on the fence right behind them. Aruba was the only horse to gain any ground in this race and made an effective run for getting eliminated at the start. I mean, truthfully, and I did well in this race, having liked North Carolina, I'm not sure I should have won this race.
Right.
Frankly, Aruba should have won this race. Won
the race.
And the horse ran well first time. Now, I hear there's a tip on the 9, who is bet already, and you put on top, and I put second.
I had no tip.
Oh, there's a story. This horse is a runner. And that's why, but this horse better be a runner because if the 1A gets a clean trip, the 1A is winning this race.
Yeah,
at about 4 to 5, by the way.
I misnumbered, by the way. That should say 9-1A. Although I do think Daddy Frank, who's coming over from Europe for Hoya Abreu.
He's not good. Trust me.
Okay.
I looked him up.
All right. Yeah, I just took a shot when endowed here.
You weren't at Nottingham?
I was not.
Does Friar Tuck present the trophies there? I've never seen Nottingham. Have you?
Yeah.
You have?
I have as a poly. Was this a poly race or was it a
turf race? Right? They may have a poly track.
I think they run through the winter. I think it's one of the lower level places that runs through the winter.
It's a Robin Hood thing.
The sheriff
it's a Robin Hood thing, right?
Yes, Robin Hood.
Sorry sorry that I should digress on this show.
Maid Marian.
Endowed. By the way, can I just say, that's a name. Anyway, go ahead.
Part of the reason I picked the horse.
Yeah. Right. Anthony has a large endowment, actually, at St. John's, his alma mater.
I do. Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Not as big as Rapoli's, but yes. Anyway, first time Lasix, my boy Tonalist.
Noted turf sire Tonalist. He did have a turf firster win for first time. There's a story this horse is working with.
I didn't know the story. And it's funny because part of the reason I didn't want Aruba is the outside draw, but this was just the outside draw as well.
You can't use that excuse.
No, I know, you can't really use that excuse. They're the two I want in here. And I had no. What happened?
Look at our crack staff.
Wow. I didn't even ask for that.
Okay,
I just kind of slipped
the
it in.
two Warfighter, Graham Motion. This horse is a full to Air Force Blue, a good turf horse who won over 840,000 in Europe. The 8 Royne, who Michael Dickinson told me was a Grade 1 winner after he ran 6th in the Central Park last year. I'm expecting that Grade 1 anytime. What are you thinking for him? Man of War, or is that too early? You think the Sword Dancer?
Too early. No, yeah, I'm thinking maybe Sword Dancer.
Maybe he could be the next DeHaas. I'll tell you what, they'll forget about Dickinson winning with DeHaas if this horse wins the Breeders' Cup Mile.
It wouldn't be the greatest comeback since Lazarus, but it might be the ninth
comeback
wonder.
From that phone call?
The ninth wonder of the world.
Race number
Should
two.
he win?
Race number two, moving on. I'm going to tell you something. Lyrical Poet. I know the horse lost to Rustler, and we'll take a look at that race at Kentucky Downs. And Rustler came back here and won the stake. I think it's an apples and oranges argument. The reality is that if you go through the figs of horses in that race, this number doesn't make sense. Basically, Lyrical Poet rode the gold rail for almost the entire race. And I know Rustler won that race. Kendrick Carmouche won that race and also got an assist from some crazy riding, which we'll discuss later in the day, this card by others in there. And I don't know, because let me ask you a question. If you drew a line to this horse last race, and it's not that it doesn't exist, Anthony, and you have to acknowledge it exists, would you like this horse at a short price here?
Well, that's the funny thing.
He's not going to be 3 to 1.
Funny thing,
There's no way this horse is going to be 3
The
to 1.
funny thing with him is, if you drew a line through the last race, you're right. And I also feel like if you drew a line through the race where he got beat by Our Destiny.
I mean,
this horse gets beat a length by Our Destiny.
He'd be clever. And suddenly he's going to Kentucky Downs and he's running a 90 buyer and losing to a horse that wins a stake race at Belmont in his next start. How did it happen?
Because
then again, there's 2 guys up here that still don't understand the turf sprint winner who paid 5 to 2.
Right.
So
in a million years, you can't explain that to me. So
it's tough to explain this horse's last race, even with the gold rail. But
it is, and he's supposed to just be right off of U.S. Steel, right?
He was aided by the Scratch and Forgotten Mission. That scratch helped his chance. U.S. Steel, Trevor's going.
Especially from the inside. Yeah, from the rail, he's going to go, and I would imagine this horse is just going to kind of lay up alongside of him. And
I got him second, Anthony. I hear you. If he was 3 to 1, I'm not sure. If he's 3 to 1, he might be dead on the board. I can't believe
he won't be. I can't imagine he's not 8 to 5 today.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't believe he's not at least 2 to 1 or shorter. I tend to agree with you. You could argue that King James in that last race, he made the first move, and the Cousin Andrew. Oh, we'll show it. The Cousin Andrews, the Fair-Haired Boys, those other horses, the King Moon Racers. Weren't they all sort of picking it up? And King James was the one who attacked, going after that ex-Shug horse that was in front. What's his name? New York bred. I know. We're both getting old.
Scary.
He ran here the other day. They rated him.
Yeah.
That worked well. He just seems like he exerted the most energy getting there. So I've got him on top in here. My weirdo is Atherenry, who might not be good enough, and I know he beat nobody last time, but he really ran last time.
He did in his 2 races, cutting back from the route races to the sprint to the 7. No. I don't know if the 6 is going to help him.
6 may be too short.
6 might be, but if it was 6 last time, he would have still galloped. So I'm not too concerned with it for him. Yeah, he's one of the fuzzies. He's the fuzzy.
Yeah, he's the only fuzzy.
Yeah,
I don't want Cousin Andrew, who is a friend of mine and I like, but I don't want that horse. Fair-Haired Boy. I just feel like those horses were sucking up. We'll see what happens in race number 2. You've got Lyrical Poet on top. I'm picking him second and trying to beat him. Race number 7. Race number 3, excuse me. You and I disagree. Now, you've got this horse on top, Baby I'm Perfect, the number 7. We'll take a look at the race. I think this is 2 back, running second to Summer Bourbon. Have at it.
This was one of those affairs where we pick 9 or 10 races a day and how to make a pick. I have no confidence in any of these horses. I went to Baby I'm Perfect. It's a claim back by Rudy. This horse ran well enough in 2 of his in his 2 starts.
2 races he's supposed to have won.
Yeah, well, he should have won the Winwood Pride race. I don't know about the Summer Bourbon race. Summer Bourbon kind of beat him on the square, but yes, he should have won the Winwood Pride.
Well, he beat him on the square, but I'm saying he can win. You and I saw the race very differently.
We did.
I don't see I know you got to pick Wayne Potts, but I don't see how you can pick a horse from the lower claiming race. He couldn't win at 4 to 5 at Monmouth, and he's going to win here for 20. I thought the race was mostly 2s and 4s, and I took the one on top that was a bigger price, the morning line. It really is as simple as that. I'm not going to be shocked if Baby I'm Perfect wins. I have him third. I guess Heavy Roller has a chance. 10-pound Bug Rider. Basically, Lost in Rome, he is a horse that has 1 rating, and he's not getting a lead from Big Mountain.
No.
And Big Mountain was a classic. Last time was the time. And you've got Big Mountain third. You didn't want to take Big Mountain off the Antonio Arriaga claim, but now you're taking him by claim a guy. Okay, you ready for this stat? He's 0 for 28 in his career as a trainer at Tampa and other places with 1 horse hitting the board. And this one you want after Antonio Arriaga. I thought Lost in Rome could inherit the lead from this horse, and he has stalked and won. I'm not convinced he can still run. Crypto Cash has run well enough in the dirt. I feel like one of these 2 horses is going to win.
Okay. All right, listen, I am not.
They're the favorites. I didn't do it.
I have no hill. I have no hill to. I'm not dying on this hill.
No. This is not a race. I mean, because both the 2 and 4 are untrustworthy as well. No, there's no question about it.
Right, Lost and Rome's not going to get to the lead in Crypto Cash.
No, I agree. And Lost in Rome may just be losing his form.
Yep.
Though, frankly, his last race wasn't that bad, but we'll see if he can do it rating in here. Race number 4. Number 4.
El Quattro.
I think we have the same pick in this race.
Yeah, I wanted to
Go ahead.
drop down. Horses
Dream
stretching
Streak to
out.
1.
Yeah, Dream Streak to 1. Just dropping down, stretching out to the mile.
I have a stat.
Well, okay.
Guys. Here's a stat.
Is this a drop-down stat?
Second start, dropping down on the turf.
Okay.
He's 5 for 18. It was a good race. Caroni ran a good second in our stake race. The Chelsea Flower, I want to say.
Yep.
Was it the Chelsea Flower, the Philly race? You know what Chelsea Flower has the distinction of being?
I don't.
I believe she's Nick Zito's only Grade 1 turf winner when she won the Flower Bowl.
Wow. Is that
Who originally trained her?
Grade 1?
Wow. Give you a hint. We discussed this person on the show extensively yesterday. I'm almost sure he trained her when she broke her maiden. I think she's the horse that a well-known racing once owner, not in the game anymore, bet like 20 or 40,000 on in the second floor of the clubhouse behind the boxes in her debut when she won at Saratoga.
Extensively yesterday. Tommy Bush?
Did we discuss Tom Bush extensively yesterday? We mentioned he retired. We didn't mention him. We talked about this person at length.
I don't remember.
You picked a horse of his.
The horse win?
He's a friend of yours. No, but you wish he had.
Oh.
Carlos Martin.
Oh, my
I think Carlos Martin originally trained Chelsea Flower.
I think you're right, and
Yeah.
I think I've kind of blocked everything related to Carlos Martin out of my head for like 48 hours.
That's not nice. Carlos,
I love Carlos.
I haven't forgotten you. I'm
I
a
love
friend.
Carlos,
I'm a
but
friend.
that was tough
I'm not like the
yesterday.
big A.
That was rough
okay?
yesterday, my friend.
Stanhope, by the way, is the horse's name we couldn't remember.
Ah, okay.
I looked through this race. You know, here's the thing.
Yes.
Solid Tune is going to take money in here. We'll look
A
at
ton.
Solid Tune running second, and Nanette running fourth. I gotta say, I don't want horses like. I thought this was a terrible.
No
race.
offense to my friends Mandy and Mike Latterer, but this was a hungry bunch of horses. Lady Milagro just walked the dog on the front end.
This horse was right outside of him, and the
Yeah,
other horse
and
was
just-
sitting
and-
fourth on the inside.
No, it just had no response turning in the stretch. Zero. This horse is going to take a ton of money. Like you said,
Well,
this horse is going to take a lot of money
This horse
today.
is going to get bad. This horse is going to take money because they're not in a place to go, and I just don't want them.
Yeah.
So
I put a third, but I mean,
I've even got Bella Shaza there. Now, I was right in one of them. They knew that Shug was going to win that. Well, they got very lucky with that Shug maiden. I mean, because the 12 should have won. The whole field got
Yep.
carried out by the 8 coming
Yep.
in the stretch, and that horse just slipped through on the inside. It's a little bit reminiscent, not as severe, but a little reminiscent of that turf sprint up in Saratoga, where the winner came through the inside and the whole field got carried
drifted,
out
yep.
the outside rail. Maybe Bella Shaza dropping down a little bit and stretching out a little bit for Gary Siaka can get it done in here. You know, I mean, you've got the 9 there.
I was
Matt.
chalky in here. Yeah, I didn't have anything.
Well, Chad Brown is on a personal crusade to make Union Rags into a sire.
And I support my friends, man. I'm going to back them.
He should be in a straitjacket.
Makes two.
By the way,
that makes two
I
of
make
us.
fun of him to his face on this one.
Yes,
He
and
laughs
he
about
does.
it. He is. This horse is like a 2% turf sire, and Chad is determined
He's gonna do it.
to prove that he's a turf sire.
Well, he's
He's going to be a turf sire, or he's going to die trying.
He'll have a Union.
He's dying on that hill.
He'll have a Union Rags going head to head with Royan in the Breeders' Cup turf next year, going down to the wire.
right.
Absolutely happening. Book it. 50 weeks out.
He will not fail for lack of trying.
For lack of, that's correct. You
Race
can say that a lot about that guy too.
Race number 5. Oh, we had a stat in here too about Leslie Ward. We put. Oh yeah, I wanted to put that up. No Time Alone is going to take money in this race, right? Isn't he?
The
eight?
the famous 5th pick. Yes, I would. Almost
Leslie Ward
dropping
has horrendous
down.
numbers stretching out maidens.
The only
2-year-olds, he's 3 for 30. I don't like this horse even a little bit.
Right. Well, that's the problem with him. The problem is that he's.
I don't
he's
like
dropping down.
No, we talked about this horse's maiden race. We ran second the other day. That was an extremely. I know the third horse came back to win up until midnight, but that was not a good field.
But she
won 3
she did
races
run
right.
against Colts, and I don't
Wesley
know.
Ward's horses all run against Colts.
Yeah, they do.
Phillies win against Colts all the time.
That's true.
Race number 5. Number 5. So you've got let me talk about my horse because we have the
Go
videos
ahead.
reversed since we do. So we'll talk about Dr. Brown's Miracle. I'm a big Dr. Brown fan.
We talked
Here,
about this last
cream,
time. Yeah.
soda.
Cream, celery. You run the gamut, you said.
So this was probably not Jose Lezcano's finest moment. Down the inside in the red, and while Baj was getting that clean outside run, Jose took the horse back too much early, overcommitted the inside, got shut off there. This horse was not beating Side Dog, was going to be no worse than second, though, that's for sure. And just let the others get that clean outside run. This was a nightmare. This horse is supposed to be able to stretch out, and I just have to take this horse off that trip. We'll see. I mean, we'll see how good Side Dog is on one of the many winning slumbers. While Chad Brown's busy getting those Union rags in the turf, he needs more slumbers. Everybody needs more slumbers.
Yes.
No longer standing in Sal Cuman's front yard, actually standing in New York now.
Is that true?
He's standing in New York. Yeah, he was never standing in Sal's front yard, though I'm sure he would have.
I
Sal
am
could have.
kidding. Yeah, this horse makes sense. Two one-turn races stretching out to the 2 turns. I'm usually a sucker for that move. I like Fort Washington's first
Well, we'll
race.
show first Washington. Go ahead, talk about
Yeah,
it.
I like Fort Washington's first. It's funny. I was walking in with Jose Lezcano today too, and he said, he kind of ran a little sideways here, and he just felt like with that race under his belt, and, he passed a lot of horses and he made up a good deal of ground.
But everybody passed a lot of horses. in this
Yeah,
race.
but he's hoping for a little maturity. See, right there is what Jose's talking about. His horse is swerving in and out. If he stays straight, he probably wins.
I bet him in here. I picked him and I bet him. And I was annoyed after the race. I was not annoyed. I made money in the race, but because they made that awful Pletcher horse like 3 to 5.
Right.
Horse should barely
Horse
be
that's
favored.
on the inside now in
The
the
Rapoli silks.
orange and blue. Yeah.
But the problem with that race is that in general, it's proven to be a very weak race. That's my problem.
Fair enough.
I'm not against this horse. I don't disagree, a little green. But the other thing was, I thought that this horse had an issue at the start. This horse broke just fine at the start. This horse had no problem at the start at all. I originally thought this horse had a problem at the start, so that kind of let me mitigate a little bit. I'm very scared of the horse we both have second here, the one Al's Rocket.
Sure.
Dam's a multiple winner of the turf. She ran an 88 in the turf. Now listen, she handled dirt, synthetic, and turf. It's a big surf second family in it's the first foal. But Cairo Prince.
Cairo Prince is great,
I'm
good,
scared of
very
this
good
horse.
turf. Yeah, me too. And went back and watched the first start. This horse I don't think this horse handled the dirt at all.
Well, I'm going to disagree with that, but okay.
Okay.
I don't know.
She kind of broke flat-footed. He kind of broke flat-footed. I don't think he really handled the surface. I think it was a good jumping-off point for this horse. Now, it was in one of those restricted races.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
It's a bad race. We talked about it yesterday. The horse who was second came back into no running. Does it worry you at all that G. Watts Humphrey sold this horse? He raced a lot of horses.
But he sells a lot of the colts.
Oh, is that what he keeps the
Yeah, they
fillies?
keep
Okay.
the fillies.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's not as big a deal.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
But I'm afraid of this horse. And this darn horse starts to pick 6 here, by the way, ends to pick 5, ends to pick 4. This is the kind of horse where this horse might be worth more in the exotics than in the multis than anything else. 8-1 warning line.
You've got the Chad Brown. I don't think the horse will be able to. Todd Pletcher rarely is, but we'll see. You've got the Chad Brown horse, fourth. There's a good second dam. This dam was bad. This is the first foal. I didn't like the sales workout, for what it's worth. Probably
Another one of
nothing.
those Pete Vesco sales. Another one,
Correct.
but again, it's a colt. So,
I have Win It, the Whisper Hill horse.
okay.
Yet another expensive Whisper Hill, the John Kimmel horse fourth, a horse I may throw in as well, because I don't think there's any tigers in this race.
No, I don't think that's
I
inaccurate.
prefer the 3. You, the 7. That's race 5. We'll take a quick break. Anthony and I will be right back.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com.
We are back. The Big A, Anthony Stabile.
I figured out what you can get me for my birthday. A trip to Nottingham. Opening day is April 6, 2022.
Here's what I'm thinking.
So I was absolutely inaccurate that they
And
ran
I
through the
think
winter.
some at home will agree with this. I think there's probably a number of characters in the Robin Hood tale that you could play. So why don't you contact them, offer your services in some roles for maybe a reenactment
what if I just do a one-man
on
show?
opening day at night?
Just a one-man show.
You are a one-man show.
I am a one-man show.
So why don't you just call them?
Greatest show on
I tell
turf.
you what, you arrange that, and I'll pay the airfare. Race number.
You know I'm not getting on a plane.
Race number 6. The single biggest shock of today's card is that Anthony doesn't have cost basis on top.
Here we go.
I'm just shocked you don't have it on top. That's all. I think people at home probably keeling over right now.
God forbid.
If Dr. Phil is ridden properly in here by Jose, and Jose's the one who rode him when he was aggressive,
Yep.
he'll be sitting on cost basis and maybe put a little pressure on him and probably run better. Cost basis is supposed to win this race. He's the controlling inside speed. They can't take him back. You've got to go with him. If Dr. Phil presses, so be it. He's supposed to win today. He's the horse to beat. But the problem is what you're seeing in this race, the
doesn't
no-bomb
win.
race. No, that's not the problem. The problem is Drafted. Drafted got an insane trip. As you were watching in there, Drafted got absolutely scrunched between horses, totally blocked. Very possibly would have won this race in a paceless race. And the problem with Drafted is when he shows up, he's never in a race with any pace. But he was extraordinarily unlucky in that race. Then he gets in the bold roller at 7 furlongs in the slop. It's another paceless race, wired in the front end. One of these days, Drafted's not going to get unlucky, and he's going to win. I think he's the only realistic horse to beat cost basis in here. I do think that Mr. Phil will run better because I imagine Jose will be more aggressive. And I wonder almost if that's why Jose's on him, because he's been aggressive with him. And this is when, and we've talked about this in the past with him, he's been more effective.
Yeah, he's got to be aggressive. I mean, he's supposed to be in front today.
Who?
Cost basis.
No, I'm talking about Mr. Phil. He's supposed to be aggressive and
He's
sitting
supposed to be
outside
right
of cost
on top
basis.
of him. Yeah,
cost
I mean,
basis.
well, last
I'm
time.
not saying he's in.
Last time he kind of got into a little bit of, I don't want to say traffic, but
Actually, incorrect. He broke well. He broke very well.
And then, right, but
I
then after that,
he got in traffic after
yeah,
that, but that's
after
because
that.
Jorge Vargas wasn't aggressive with him.
I understand that.
And Jorge
then
Vargas is an aggressive rider, so
two
I don't know
starts
what he was
back,
doing.
he was not going to be able to be a part of that pace.
No,
I wanted
no.
to pick. Listen, I have
The
mad love
retired
for Mr.
Bolio.
Phil. I wanted to pick Mr. Phil today, but
Where are you going with Famished?
so here's the deal with Famished. I almost gave you here's the thing, but I held off. Famished started his career on the dirt. He won, and then he was third in a stakes. For some reason, John Kimmel wanted to run this horse on the turf. And he doesn't run that poorly in the Pilgrim behind the eventual Breeders' Cup winner.
The other day, you said to me, John Kimmel's some sort of genius. Why was he running the horse in the dirt?
Would you just give me a second, please?
Well,
Then he
suddenly
runs
now
into
you're-
Independence Hall.
For a
Hold
reason.
on.
He runs horses in the wrong service all the time.
Give me a minute.
All right.
He runs into Independence Hall. He runs into Tapit to Win in that freak race he runs before the Belmont Stakes last year. Back to the turf. His 2 sprint races, the one against Everfast, is not a bad race.
It'll get him 5th in here, maybe 6th.
Obviously,
They're not good races.
This is a horse that the barn had high hopes for. This horse, after breaking his maiden, faced nothing but stakes company except the one start. Now, he's been gone a while.
Anthony.
He's a fresh gelding. He
Anthony.
gets Kendrick. I wouldn't be surprised in a race like this horse coming off the break, and I know he's never shown it, I will bet you this horse is laying no worse than 3rd today.
Okay, how much? $5,000? I'll bet you a plane
Andy.
flight to Nottingham. But you know what? When I lose, I'm getting on it tonight. Okay? This horse couldn't be laying 3rd
Andy, after
unless
the
Kendrick
triple-
comes
hold on a
out
second.
pumping, slashing, and driving. He's got no speed, Anthony.
But he's a gelding now.
You're insane. I
Okay.
love you dearly. You're out of your mind. This horse is not going to be sitting 3rd unless a number of horses stumble coming out of the gate.
2 and 5. After that, who do you trust? Arch Cat?
I don't.
The rest of these horses have no speed, Andy.
Well, they've got more speed than he does.
I mean, of the version we saw, yes, you're right.
Good luck. Good luck.
And he's a big price in a race with
Listen,
a horse that.
he's a sprinter who has probably been entered in the wrong race
Yeah.
the vast majority of his career. The problem is he's never run a fast race. And there are a number of considerably faster horses in this race. That's the problem with him. You're trying to get a horse that's just not fast. I don't disagree with you that he's been mishandled and put in the wrong
Yeah,
races.
I mean, I think he's in the right spot
I
today.
just don't think he may be
Okay.
in the right spot. It's a tough spot for him. I mean, what did he do with Spun in One's last race? It was legitimately fast.
Out-of-town races, man, it's so hard to trust them when they come up here. I don't know what you do with his last race. I know. Again, results don't have to dictate the narrative, but he's 2 for 2 sprinting and he's 0 for 3 going 2 turns on both.
No,
surfaces.
he's a sprinter.
Yeah.
No, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I mean,
Well, he lost the turf
he's
sprint,
kind
right?
of a wild card in this race.
That barn's kind of quieted down though coming here, right? I mean, Silky Blue won, but I mean, she was supposed to win that day. And
How many horses has he run that were supposed to win that didn't?
I guess.
I don't really
guess.
think his horses are getting outrun
Okay.
by their odds. Race number 7. Race number 7 gave me a gigantic headache. And at the end of the day, I don't want anybody out. I don't, no, that's not true. I picked a horse out of the race. I don't want the logicals out of this race. I don't want Matt Doyle. I don't want Sky Sand. We'll take a look at the replay. That was a cue. I want Piccadilly. I want horses that are second-time stars that can improve. You've got Iconic Adventure on top. I have no problem with that horse. I don't need to pick the same horse as you in this
Right,
race.
all right.
I just don't want the Matt Doyles and the Sky and Sands of the world. Both of these horses were. And also, the other thing about this race is, I know they ran good figures. They did it running slow paces, and the winner of this race was an hour the best, getting into trouble and taking dirt the whole way.
Yeah, much the best.
And Piccadilly was hurt by the slow pace. You like these Shug horses to improve second time out. Maybe this horse can improve getting a little more distance. It's a total guess. It's more. This race, my opinion, is playing against the 2 and 10. I'm sorry, the 3 and 10.
Okay.
I just don't want them.
See,
They can win. I don't want them.
I thought Sky and Sand ran well first time out. I thought he ran better. I
Well-
thought he ran better than Matt Doyle.
Really?
Well,
He was
I-
saying the slow pace.
I thought he ran better than Matt Doyle had the race under his belt. I thought this horse was his first time
But
out.
the Asmussen horses are ready to go first
Yeah,
time.
I know. I still thought he
Okay,
ran well.
we disagree. That's
I
fine.
still thought he ran
I mean, I
well.
think he ran better than 3, but I don't want either one of them. I don't think
Okay,
he ran. I mean,
that's fair enough.
Immeasurably better, but not really.
I liked Iconic Adventure's first race.
How about it?
He ran into a horse that obviously came back off the layoff for Rudy that was ready to roll in Hagler. He had a little trouble at the start. He made up some ground late in the game. He looked like a horse that's certainly going to.
We didn't have trouble at the start. He broke slow.
Yeah, he's going to improve in his second start. The rail bothers me, obviously. He didn't break well from the rail last time in his debut, but he has that race under his belt now. I think
He's very
I
logical.
think he gets a key rider switch to Ortiz Jr.
Well, hang on a second. He doesn't get a key rider change. Who's riding this horse? Do you know, Francisco? See,
Oh.
that's an interesting segue here.
That is an
But I don't
interesting
have the
segue.
answer to this question. It's an odd one. The 1A.
Is-
all right,
are we on old rules?
Saez is riding the horse, which is a rider upgrade as well.
Yeah. Okay. I'll
The
take it.
1A outperform was Irad's first choice in here, which I found interesting because he's also named the Mott horse, who's super interesting. Now, to be fair, he rides a lot and has won big races for Napoleon Pletcher, so it may have
Of
been more
course.
of a loyalty thing. But I still think it's a little bit interesting because Irad's riding the horses the best chance. And obviously, with this race oversubscribed, they had to signal. I don't quite understand how this works. I'm confused. You have to have a preference, right? If the owner.
I figured it out last night.
Go ahead.
Because it bothered me.
Well, let me just
When
finish the
there's
thought.
only-
Let me just
go
finish
ahead,
the thought.
finish the thought and I'll explain
Yeah,
what
but that's
happened.
the difference. Yeah, you're saying there's only. In other words, if a race is oversubscribed and the same owner's going in, no, the same. It's not the same owner.
It's the same trainer.
Same trainer. You have to have a preference.
have to have a
Maybe not
preference.
the same owner. You don't.
You don't. You can choose.
No, you have to have a preference because if oversubscribed, the owner, same owner can't run both.
Right.
So-
but it's on the trainer.
But you're
it's not on the
saying
owner.
because there was the thought.
because there
that we
was
have is-
only one.
But
because
did
they
they
went to
know
third.
there was only one?
I'm sure they said. I'm sure the question was asked how many are in here,
You
which
know-
is they're
well-
allowed to ask, and they say 13. Now you know that you're the only one
No.
on the AE list
If that's the case, it shouldn't be allowed. Do you know why?
because it alters the opinion. Why?
Think about it. Do you want to draw the rail or do you want to draw the outside going 7 furlongs?
Well-
it makes me wonder a little bit if that's the case, and I'm not saying it was.
It
and
could have
listen,
been. It could have been strategy.
if the rules are the rules, there's
play by
nothing
the
wrong with
rules.
following the rules. If, in other words, we're saying is if they knew that one was going to be an also eligible, they could always scratch the other one and get in, which they did. And they also
Can you
they
make
also,
that
if
2
Ant-
1A 10-8,
if,
please?
if Anthony's right, they also knew they'd draw the outside post, which some people really like in these 7 furlong races. I don't particularly think it matters a lot, and I don't know that came into play, but I was thinking of putting the 1A on top for that reason, thinking if they scratch the 1 to get him in, I kind of want him.
I'll change it on the website, guys. 2
No,
1A
you're
10-8.
not allowed. No, you're not allowed.
Come on.
You can say you're using
You
the horse.
do it all the time.
I do it before the show. You can
terrible.
use the horse, as you admit now. It's okay to sit in the show and say, I agree with your point, I'm going to use the horse. I do that all.
Makes a lot of
well,
sense.
you know.
But I mean, you
I
would
think it's
almost
an
have
interesting
to-
point.
I do. I agree. And you also, by the way, if there's another scratch, you get to run both.
By the way, why has Ansel been running on the turf? I think this
No
horse
idea.
working well in the dirt. We'll see. Race number 8. We should move along.
I will be
here.
using the 1A.
Yeah, no. You're allowed to do that, but you don't need to throw out your picks. Who cares anyway? What are you going to go home and go, thank God I put the 1A second or
No,
third?
it's not,
Like in
it's
a
not
sweep
for me,
better
man.
tonight? Yeah.
It's not for me.
Both of you out there who use it, just you'll know now. Race number 8. I don't disagree with that.
Such a
Crimea
joke.
River here. I'm just taking a better price, but I
Okay.
do think my horse can win. Crimea River
my
ain't going to be
boy.
7-2 in here, David. Crimea River's going to be super short. Crimea River should have won the stake. This is his win 2 back, and I'll tell you something about this win.
Thank you for not showing the stakes, by the way. I
You
appreciate
picked him that day, and I didn't like him, and you were dead right. You should have
Appreciate
won. That
that.
was a terrible
That was a
beat for you.
That was a bad beat.
Well, I'll tell you something else about this day. This was a good rail. This was during the good rail week on the inner turf course.
I
And this
remember
horse
you
was
saying
never
that
on the
after he
rail
won.
wide the whole
Yeah.
way. This horse got not the best of rides last time out, and he should have been in front last time. He was 8th. He should have won the Carl Place and not even be eligible for this race.
You
He
can
won
make it
at
argue.
6
You can make it, I
furlongs.
mean, now
Wait,
it
no,
would
wait,
be
no.
impossible because you can't win your maiden race twice. But you could argue this horse was best in all 3 of his start
No, I
races.
agree. I totally agree with you. You're
know,
absolutely right. The horse
so-
had trouble first time out. This horse is, yeah.
And I just,
Make
to
a great
me,
point.
and I'm a big, and you know, I got nothing but love for Scuttlebuzz.
Well, we're going to discuss
Nothing but love,
Scuttlebuzz
but
in a
I just
second.
think I think this horse, and I
probably
think you
better.
kind of proved it last time. I think this horse has a little bit of a future. I,
I don't
think this horse is
need.
going to be a stakes horse.
I sleep well at night, even when my top choice doesn't win. And I think
That was
Scuttle-
tough yesterday.
I had the first 6 winners were my second choice yesterday. That was an incredible achievement. I was kind of impressed by that.
Place pick all.
That's pretty impressive. Anyway, I'm impressed by this.
Let's not give anybody any ideas. Place pick
As far
all.
as Scuttlebuzz, I don't want to gang up on him. This was another bad ride this horse got. That was a week of bad rides. What was he doing with this horse? I know the horse got rank on him, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe it wasn't all
You know what I
his
think
fault.
happened, Andy? I think when he got
Never
bumped.
gotten ranked before.
I think when the gate opened and he got hit a little bit, he got bothered at the start a little bit. Sometimes these horses, when that happens, right? What was the name of the Chad Brown horse that was the favorite in the Haskell? Good horse.
Awful. That phony timeline?
Timeline.
Let me ask you a question. Which good race did he run after,
Hold on a second.
after the Haskell? First of all, when was he a good horse?
He was a good horse going into that?
No, he wasn't. He was a phony.
There we go. Anyway, that's the example I
He
always.
was undefeated, but he was a phony.
That's the example. I was with a friend that day, and I explained to my friend that when he got bothered at the start that day, the switch flipped on, and he just went. I wonder if this horse
the
was
fairy
just
tale portion of the show?
No, I just wonder if when this horse got bothered at the start last
something
time,
went wrong
he
because he's
kinda
never
just
been a
got
badly
aggressive.
behaved
Yeah,
horse.
he's never done anything like that. That's what made no sense about it
And
last
he's
time.
a good turf sprinter. He overcomes slow paces.
Yeah.
He runs the race. I don't know that he can beat the favorite, but I don't think they're going to be 7-2 and 9-2. I think they're going to be 8-5 and 5-1.
Yeah, I agree.
So, you know what horse I think is not impossible in here is Bust and Shout. Because we'll take a look at him running second that paceless race beyond Mo Maverick's a huge favorite. I mean, I know he hasn't run in a long time, and I don't trust him. The Roussillon barn has come alive. Those layoff numbers aren't great. But with this horse, I mean, he's the controlling speed, isn't he?
He's gone. You have horses like Uncle Romy, the number 5, who.
Yeah, maybe. No, maybe.
I don't know what's going to happen with 9 Ace. I mean, neither of those
Call Me
horses.
Harry's going to be a little more
yeah,
forward in
but,
the pace
but
projector.
if you would think
This guy
that
is fast,
if
Andy.
Trevor wants to lead and Trevor's come back riding aggressively, if he wants to lead with Bust and Shout, he's the fastest horse in the race.
Horse.
I don't disagree.
And the thing about it is, I'll put it 2 ways. It's hard because it's the end of turf season, so I don't even know if you can get another race into him. But
There might
so
not
you
even be
kind of
another
have to
race
ready,
for him,
you have to
yeah.
have him ready to go in here. Though he can actually run in the dirt, this horse. The
Well,
other
yeah.
thing is, if he can win in the dirt,
Yeah.
is he's going to be aggressive on his first race off a layoff because that's what you need to do. I don't love him, but I thought he was interesting. Colton's Command actually ran well last time. He's a tricky horse to ride. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
2 and 7s for me, though, mostly. Nice running of the Red Smith, the legendary turf rider. Would you know what the name of this race was before they named it the Red Smith?
I did not.
Do you know the theatrical won this race? No, it was the Red
I
Smith.
do. That I remember. That was 1986.
Well, obviously. But, it was the year before he had the big year.
Right.
It was the Edgemere.
Interesting.
We were looking, Acacia and I were looking it up yesterday. Acacia looked it up, actually sent it to me. Serve the King, who's the favorite in this race for Chad Brown. He had a good trip to get second in this race, but he did run well. That was a cue, Francesco.
Francesco. Wow. That's the new deal, Francisco. If you make a mistake, we call you the wrong name.
He doesn't make mistakes. He's my main man. I love Francisco.
Wow.
Hey,
This
what's
is
not to love? He's
fest
a
on
wonderful guy.
Saturday morning love fest.
Guy does a great job, does he not? You love Francisco.
He's my
Stop.
second favorite Francisco in New York City.
He ran fine. He kind of sucked up the pieces, saving ground. You know, he benefited from Gufo moving too soon in here. He ran well to win the John's Call before that. He's improving. I don't have a knock on him. I think he's very logical.
Me too. Everything you said. I mean, what's there really nothing really to knock since he came from since the October layoff in the 5-year-old year. He's improved with every start, and if he takes another step forward or runs either of his last 2 races, he's probably going to win.
Yeah, the horse that's going to take some money in here that I don't like at all is Channel Cat.
I'm with you.
I know he's probably the speed. We'll take a look at him winning the Man of War. I just don't think he's the same horse that won the Man of War. And I mean, Saez has got to be aggressive with Tie of the Sea, right?
He caught. I mean, there was some real lightning in a bottle that day. I mean, Channel Cat just that race, and I know he's run faster races,
the
but
greatest chandelier impersonation by Gufo of all time.
I mean, how about Moon Over Miami? He had him dead to rights too.
Yeah.
Neither one of them wanted to go by.
And Moon Over Miami did nothing after this race.
Yeah.
Gufo obviously.
So
did well after this race,
I'm not. I think No Word will take some money. Oh, David has a 8-1. Hey, I was
No Word
against
could
Channel
take some
Cat.
money?
No Word. I thought he would.
Okay, I didn't.
Those are the 2 I was against.
I didn't really like Channel Cat in here. Now, here's your horse, Soldier Rising. This is the second place finish to Yabir.
He's finishing second here to Yabir, having finished second to the Cox Plate winner in his prior start. Did we think we'd be saying that about the Saratoga Derby
Right.
and the Jockey Club
But
Derby?
talk about it this race,
Absolutely
Wayne.
not. I mean, you see Yabir just rolling by here. This is an example of he ran a good race.
I don't think he did.
You don't think he did?
No.
See, I thought he ran a good race. I just think he got run over by a steamroller.
Yeah, well, he lost to a much better horse.
Yeah.
The rest of the field was terrible in here. And he got a very, very good trip in this race, just like he got an unbelievably good trace up in Saratoga. The problem with this race with him is, and I'm not saying he's impossible. I don't particularly like him, but I probably should have put him 4th and thrown Price Talk, the new improved Price Talk, in for 3rd. He's really dressed up because Yabir won the Breeders' Cup turf. And people, before you make a big bet on him because he lost to Yabir, and it doesn't mean he can't win here, take a look at the PPs, the horse who finished in the photo with him, that finished 3rd.
In the
It
Jockey Club
would be
Derby.
500 to 1 in this race.
But I think if you look at the race last time, he cuts back to a distance he probably is not as efficient at.
Well,
as
wait
the
a second.
Longer distances.
Wait
and he
a
only got to
second.
be 3 lengths.
Wait a second. Wait a second. He was second in a mile and 3/16 race, first time here, and at the 16th pole, he may have been in front or very close to it. So let's not suggest the distance got him beat.
I think.
I mean,
this is a horse that they
careful.
debuted at a mile and an 1/8. And then ran him a mile and 3/8, a mile and a half, and a mile and a half. And that we were joking around about Doc Kimmel yesterday. That dummy Andre Fabre was the one who did it overseas.
But he also ran his best figure with a perfect trip in
He
a
did.
shorter race.
He did.
And I'm not saying he can't win. Christophe obviously agrees with you because he's running here instead of, obviously
And
shipping California.
he's running this horse against older horses.
Well, it's almost the end of his 3-year-old year. I mean, it's
but
time
he
to run
doesn't. That's
against
not something
olders.
Christophe usually does.
I don't know if that's true or not. I'll ask him. But the problem also with his last race is, yes, he was closing into a slow pace, no doubt about it. Except so was Hilliard, who outclosed him at 49 to 1.
That's fine.
Now,
Yeah,
in
you
fairness
have a
to
good
Soldier
point.
Rising, he covered the most ground of anybody in that race. He wasn't that wide, but he covered more. I don't think he's impossible. I like value engineering. Now, listen, maybe I got the money with him last time, and this is a bit of a stretch. He definitely has to improve a little bit, but how much? Because
Not much.
he really ran last time. And, I think in riding him last time, who's Javier riding? He's not riding him. He's riding Shamrocket over this horse? Javier.
Wow.
I didn't even realize that. He must have been committed to Shamrock Rocket. Maybe he gave him a point of entry, Red Smith commitment. Well, Dylan can learn from what Javier did last time. Just relax with this horse and let him make his run. This horse has been very unlucky in a lot of races. Wide against the Gold Rail 2 back, slow pace race 3 back, slow pace race 4 back. I don't see any reason he has a problem with the distance. He'll be a bit of a price today. I'm hoping he steps forward.
He looks like a money burner, but the truth of the matter is, I think
he's been unlucky.
distance is just his friend.
He's been unlucky.
He's been unlucky, and I think.
What about
I think,
Price Talk?
Yeah, I don't
The
know.
new improved Price
I don't
Talk.
know what to do with Price Talk.
Got a pedigree that says he can gut a distance. He's a wild card in here. If
Yeah,
you
he
want
is.
new faces in here, why isn't he a new face?
Yeah. at twice the price of a Soldier
Huge
Rising or
price,
something
right.
like that, right? Yeah, maybe.
All right, we'll run out of time if we don't move on. But I'm looking forward to it. It's a good race.
Should be fun.
Yeah,
Love the Red
Camp, a
Smith.
good race. I agree. Excellent card today.
My boy Sadler's Joy won it 2 years ago.
Yeah, feels like a long time ago.
It does.
Buried the field 2 years ago. Crushed him.
Sadler's Joy, Bricks, and Annals of Time won graded stakes races that year. That was a good year. That was a fun year.
How's the time? I wonder where he is.
The Bricks and Mortar sighting on America's Day at the Races yesterday. I was very excited about that.
Really?
Yep.
What they?
Secretary of War was running in a race at Churchill, and he beat Secretary of War in the Manila in 2017. So they showed the Manila from 2017.
What an unbelievable race he ran.
It was unbelievable. I watched that trip again, how he's saving ground, and Joel takes him down the center of the course to get
I
there.
really wish I could tell the story about
10 potatoes.
somebody watching that race. Anyway, Catching Cupid, we'll take a look at the replay. Anthony, I'm a little worried this horse is completely phony. That race came up super fast. This horse rode the goldest of rails. I've got him second. I have a feeling this guy is too good to be true.
All right,
in
let me
this
ask you a
race.
question, Andy. Hot Rod Rumble has one race two back, the 68 buyer figure, okay? If this horse's number is 7 points too high,
Doesn't matter. The problem is
you don't still think he's
No,
supposed to beat
it's
these
not.
horses?
Here's the problem, Anthony. Hot Rod Rumble ran on the outside. He was wide against the gold rail last time. I know the race camp's slow. It's a little odd that there was that big a discrepancy in time in that same day. Hot Rod Rumble runs his race two back based on the 68 figure. He'll beat Catching Cupid.
Okay.
If they both get fair trips. I'm 100% convinced.
But don't
of
you
that.
feel like that
I don't totally-
68's the
yeah,
sore
yeah,
thumb?
Yeah,
right?
yes.
That makes no
yes.
sense.
That's perfectly fair. But he's also going to be 3 times the price to catch. Catching Cupid is going to be 6 to 5 in this race.
Yeah, he is.
And I think that Anthony, I wouldn't. This is one. I'm not making any multis without having him in there.
No question about it.
But I want to have other horses in here. How about Cleveland Johnson's firster? Those are usually fast works for Cleveland Johnson. You're a guy who looks at works. You're going to look at these works. Cleveland Johnson, by the way, had a sneaky good year with some first-time stars, some 2-year-olds. One with that 60-to-1 shot, first time in the grass. He's had some horses that have run a little bit in these races. And if I'm right that the one's a phony, and you're right about the 8, which you may be, who the heck are
Chaos.
you scared of?
There's
in
all
this race?
chaos.
Right.
There's all chaos.
What about the Schosberg horse that made the lead last time before he got eased? The 7.
No.
How about Irad? Is Irad still riding My Last Mission? He's riding this
would be
horse?
that would be wild.
Well,
I
yeah.
disregarded it. Is he in there?
Yeah. Still listed. Assume
Wow.
he's riding him.
And that was at a time where the barn was not.
They're winning now.
They're winning now.
Horse did race against a good horse in Overstep.
Yes,
Just
he did.
throwing it in there.
Well, that was the other horse I wanted to mention. The horse I have third here, the bottom horse, Thrill of It. 2 starts. The Overstep race. The last race was bad. But
Last
now
race
the
was
blinkers
awful.
go on. It's the 3rd start of his career.
Of course, it was
He gets
awful last
Dylan.
time.
He's outside. I thought he was a little interesting.
Okay, listen, I'm throwing in wacky horses. He's not wacky. I don't like his last race at all. I have a feeling this race is going to be a bit of a chaotic race.
It could be either chaos or Catching Cupid's going to run back to his race and just crow hop up.
I
That's
don't
what's going
think
to
his
happen.
last race was very good.
Okay.
That's the difference in opinion we have.
Okie dokie.
We'll see what happens. Fun
See the
card.
spring in that Naira Betts pen just now? Look at this.
Wow.
No,
So
what I'll be
it's
doing
not
half.
just a
No, what I'll be
pen.
doing half the day
So
today.
it's not just a pen, it's a toy.
I know what I'll be doing half
Now
the
I know
day
what to
today.
really get you for your birthday.
There you go.
I'll get
Yeah,
you a whole box of
box of
Naira
these,
Ben
exactly.
bets. Anyhow, head over to NairaBets.com. If you're not a member, use the promo code bonus200. We will match the $200 of your initial deposit. NairaBets.com. Become a member. Support the game. 50-50-50 Aqueduct Churchill, both on America's Day at the Races. And then Del Mar as well. Throw them in. They're not on America's Day at the Races. 11:30 to 6 on FS2. Believe there's coverage till 6:30 though on other networks. And
What else we got?
that's all we got. All right.
See you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow as well. See you on America's Day at the Races on the late shift. Greg, Johnny I up next. Reprise, scratches, and changes. Have a great day.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to Aqueduct, where the main track is fast and the turf courses are firm. Portable rail up at 12 feet on the outer turf and at 9 feet on the inner. In today's first race, scratch 6, American Law, and 10, Zuzu Dini. First race, scratch 6 and 10.